Now let's expose one more thing. I'm going to go in here to my roughness and my blue latex here. Oh, this is my base material. So now my base material contains my roughness amount. So I could do another uniform color and plug that in and make that roughness, but I'm just going to go in here, go to my roughness value, and we'll just expose that to the end user. And we don't want to name it norm intensity, so we'll say roughness. We'll use that from the drop down. Hit OK. Double click your parent graph. And we've done this a number of times before, so now I just got to go in here and make sure identifier is fine, label roughness value is fine. The group, it gave me a group called roughness and glossiness. So let's go ahead and see what that does. So I'm going to hit Control S, go back over to our new graph tab, double click this. And you're going to see I got base color, normal intensity, and now my roughness value is in a group called roughness and glossiness. That's kind of cool. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back to blue latex, double click the parent graph, scroll down, and under group I'm going to name this, I don't even know, non-color parameters. And then I'm also going to put this normal intensity into that because it's not a color. So I'm going to go non-color parameters, copy this, paste that into this group node, go ahead and save this, go over to new graph, double click it, and you're going to see base color is all by itself, and then under non-color parameters we have these normal intensity and roughness value exposed. Alright, so our blue latex is actually pretty awesome, but let's get a little bit trickier and let's talk about blending nodes a little bit. So we're in our little test graph here. We exposed some values to our end user. That was totally awesome, totally easy, by the way, in case you didn't notice that. And I'm going to hop back over to blue latex, and let's do something a little trickier, and it's probably going to be where I screw up a lot. So I'm going to go view outputs in 3D view for this particular node. And let's go to our base color and change our default back to like a darker, smokier blue. There we go, gray blue. Okay, what can we do to be fancier? Well, one thing we can do is we've got this thing driving. Well, we actually have a plug. We actually don't even need to plug it in there because it's going into a height that isn't being used. So I can actually double click this, and when I turn off height to be false, it'll actually disappear. That's kind of cool. And in fact, if you want to have a custom roughness, metallic, ambient occlusion, base color, you just hit true, and then it'll pop up a little base color node. You can just plug in your own base color, and it'll override anything in here. So just FYI. However, we are going to use this to drive even more things. So one thing we're going to use it to drive is adding another color to this uniform color. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to use this as a mask, and we're going to blend it. So by blending, I mean hitting your spacebar and grabbing a blend node. And you might recognize blending nodes from, it's basically just like in Photoshop, you're going to have like two layers, one above the other. This is basically just two nodes, one above the other. So which one do you know is above the other? Well, this top one and this bottom one. So if I take this uniform color and I put it into this foreground here, and then I take this height and put it into the background, it's actually not going to like that. Basically, a blend node either needs to blend color together or it needs to blend grayscale together, not both. Now, you can do both, because when I plug this in, it's probably going to go ahead and give me, oh, it's not going to do it. Good. So you're going to see, okay, this is now a grayscale blending node. It's not color anymore. You see how it's like half orange, half gray? This is all gray now, and it's saying, hey, base color, I don't know what to do with you. Don't fear. We can go grab a gradient map. Now, because I had the uniform color selected when I had gradient map, it went ahead and gave me a gradient map, it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete these things out, and we're going to talk about this. So right now, this height is being plugged into this bottom thing here, and now it's giving me a red. You know what? Stop. Plug this one in. Okay, now this one is a grayscale one again. Now the gradient map, you're going to see, takes a grayscale input and outputs an RGB. So that's pretty cool. If I double click this, it'll actually do gradient. There's a lot of cool things you can do with gradient maps, but at its base level, what we're going to use it for is plugging in a grayscale image and outputting an RGB image. I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. So you know what? Let's go ahead and take our base color. We'll put that at the bottom. We'll put that in the second layer, quote unquote. And now we're going to take this map and we're going to put it in the top layer. So if you want to see the result of both of these here, you can double click this node, and here's the result. It's just this top layer. That's because we haven't told it how to blend yet. So if I double click the blend node, you're going to see right here on the blending mode, it's set to copy right now. So it's just copying. This is just like a normal layer. However, if I change this to multiply, you can go ahead and change it to multiply. Now all the black is showing up, and then all the white is letting the blue color pass through underneath, just like in Photoshop. And now I can change this output color, and it'll update here. So now we have black in between here into my base color. We can also use that to kind of not mess up my roughness, change my roughness. So now, right now, my roughness is driven by this base material. So let's go ahead and blend this in. So if I hit 1, you're going to see this roughness node is outputting a value, and it's going into my roughness. If I take this node right here, and we'll hit spacebar, do another blend node, I'm going to blend this grayscale roughness with this one, and I'm going to double click this, and we'll give it the same thing, blending mode of multiply. And now it's going to be really shiny in the cracks, and then less shiny on the bricks. So now if I plug this into my roughness, you're going to see where it's black, it's really shiny, and then it's a little less shiny on the brick. So let's make this more obvious. So if I change this, if I double click this, I can still change the roughness value underneath. So, oh, I've got the roughness value exposed. So let's go to the parent graph here, and we'll go to the non-color parameters roughness, and we'll change this to be shiny to kind of middle. So now we've got, now you can kind of see shiny, and as if I make it really matte, now we've got shiny cracks in here and then really matte pods on the top. If you want to invert this, what you can do is, you don't have an invert in here, but you can go over here and do a search for invert. And we can do an invert grayscale, invert color, normal invert, we'll do an invert grayscale. We'll pass this in. And now if you double click this node, you're going to see this is the regular node with these, the height blended, multiplied over the roughness value that's output by the base color, which, you know, you can click between these two, you're going to see it updates in the 2D view, inverted. Pass that through. Now we have shiny bricks going to matte ribs in between. Now this invert grayscale is interesting. If you right click this one, well, let's do it manually first, and then I'll show you how they did it, which is exactly how I'm about to do it. So if I go in here and do a levels node, so spacebar levels, and we pass this node into here, you have a levels like histogram, so you can change this, you can make it more white all over, more dark all over by grabbing these things, and then of course you can do the regular levels where you can kind of move the mid value and then the two end values here. If you change it from values, from histogram to values, what you can do, if you swap this level out low and this level out high, and if we go back to histogram, you're going to see we basically just swap these two. That'll actually act as an invert. So this invert right here and this levels node is doing the exact same thing. And in fact, if you right click this invert grayscale and go to open reference, yes, you're going to see what it has is a grayscale input. So that's telling the end user, hey, plug in something grayscale for me. And then it's going to have a levels, and if you double click this, you're going to see these two are red. They've just been switched, and it's going to output that inverted grayscale. That's all it is. So we don't need this invert grayscale. We'll close that. And we'll go over here to invert, right click, close that as well. Okay, so we've gone through here, we've inverted the roughness on here. So that could be confusing to the end user because they're going to change the roughness and it's going to be like, well, I don't know what's going on. So basically what I want to do, instead of inverting the final, I'm going to get rid of this invert grayscale node. What I'm going to do is go back here, and I'm going to click out here, and I'm going to do, I'm going to drag out another invert grayscale. So for the roughness, I'm going to invert this height. So now it's white over black, and then I'm going to blend that over my roughness value. So now what I have is, this is multiplied over my roughness value, so if I double click my base color, and I'm sorry, the parent graph because we exposed it, and change this, if I go to super shiny, it'll make everything super shiny. But as I make it, let's, actually we don't want to do we want to do multiply? Yes, because we always want, this is going to make it, oh, yeah, this is going to make it super shiny on the pods and then really rough in between the pods, which is what I wanted. The original was super shiny in the cracks and then really rough on the outside, which I didn't want. So I inverted that, and now I'm multiplying that over. So I'm changing the roughness value underneath. So as I change this roughness value, you're going to see, as I make the roughness really rough, the bricks stay shiny because that's been multiplied over, but everything in between is kind of roughing out, and then if I make it really shiny all the cracks in between are getting darker and they're getting shinier too. So no matter what, those pods are going to stay rough, and that's because I'm controlling that with this being blended on there. Was that a lot? Yeah, sorry about that. I kind of stumbled over my words there, but I think you get it. I think it's pretty obvious. You can invert something. You're blending it just like in Photoshop, and then you're passing that output, that result, on out through your roughness, and you can actually, we're blending this two together, so really, really easy to do. And now if we go to Blue Latex and save this and go back to our new graph where we have Blue Latex plugged in, if I double click this one, we still have our parameters. I'm going to right click this, do View Outputs in 3D View. So here's the user modified version, which they chose a different color. They have a different roughness plugged in, so they can make it a shinier all over, or they can make it more matte, depending on the look they're going for. Normal intensity they can change, all that good stuff. So everything's working, looks good. So we'll go ahead and move on.